All right, guys. Well, I've been asked multiple times to do a review on my Kubota. If you watch all my videos, you know that I am not the world's biggest fan for Kubota. I like some things, but some of the things I don't like, I think they're so stupid and so easily changed. I don't know why they're still the way they are. That being said, let's do a review. I'll tell you what I do not like about the machine, and I will tell you what I like about the machine. Let's start with the likes. I do like the tracks. These are not factory tracks. These are Camso tracks. They are SDs is the model of track. It's Charlie Brown zigzag. Yes, if you know anything about tracks, you see this arrow kind of cased in it. My tracks are on backwards. I was doing an experiment when I switched the tracks out when I first bought this machine, and I have yet to take the tracks back off and switch them back. I do a lot of downhill work to where I'm severely downhill, down a heavy grade, say brush hogging, around ponds, around stuff that you really don't want to mow around. I thought, let's try it and let's see if we can get a little more traction in reverse. It didn't. It does really good. You don't need any more traction with these tracks in reverse. It did actually, it seems like it hurt me a little bit going forward. That being said, these tracks have been backwards on the 75 the whole time, but these tracks came off my 65 when I had my SVL75. When I bought this new, everybody said, oh, if you like the 65, you got to have a 75. I almost wish I still had my 65. I wish the 75 had the 65 drive system, meaning longer tracks on the ground. It'd make the machine ride better. You get more traction, less PSI on the ground, and then the 65 has the multi-function valve and the hybrid hydraulics. The 75 does not. It's just got a pump and motor setup, just like, you know, everything else out there. That being said, the undercarriage on this. So ever since this thing was brand new, 0 hours, had 2 hours on it, this side made way more noise than anything I've ever ran before. It sounded like there was a banging, and you can feel it in the floorboard. Well, I know I'm not the only one. I've had a lot of people that say their 75 does the same thing. Let me show you something. And I'll show you some 3D or some 360 video of what this does while you're operating it. But see how that idler, see how we're pretty close there? Just with the small pry bar inside here, watch. You see that? See how much movement that has? Now that's got, I don't know, a little more than an 1/8 inch in there, right? Let's go over here. Switch hands here. All right, you see how close that is? All right, let's make it not close. Just with the pry bar. You see how much movement is in that? Look at that track. You see how much that's moving? Look how much play's in there. It's got more play inside, but it has so much side to side, and actually, I would almost say that idler on this side is bad. So now, I really need to call them. I bet you that idler's bad. But see how much that undercarriage moves in there? And it's moving quite a bit in that idler. Watch it. So I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna ask them. I don't know, I have never had one of these apart. I don't know if you slide that out and then you pull these out and they slide into there. Let's go check the other side real quick while we're here. We'll do some diagnosis while I'm doing a review and a walk around. And then I have to explain a couple features. Let's see. No movement. Okay, I'd say that's a bad idler. So I'm gonna make a phone call, or actually I'm gonna make a video on my phone so I can send it to my dealer, and I'll make a phone call and maybe we can get a new idler for that replaced. Okay, other things I like besides the tracks, which really isn't Kubota. I like the pins. So Kubota has all straight cut pins. So basically this is a piece of round bar. You know, not just normal round bar, it's hardened, but basically a piece of round bar going through some bushings, and there's no tapered bushing or anything like that. I love that. That's just like a big loader, dozer, anything. Nothing, not a lot of stuff uses tapered pins and bushings besides skid loaders when you get into the bigger world. Everything's straight cut pins. I like the fact that they put straight cut pins in it. I like the fact that you can see through your quick attach plate, so when you're loading stuff with forks, you can somewhat see what you're doing. You know I like deers. A 317 and a 325 would be my go-to machine, depending on what you're doing. 317s do not like to brush hog. They don't have the cooling system. A 325 will walk the dog with brush hogging. Both those machines, or any deer that you get into, has a solid plate. You can't see through it, so you kind of have to feel around if you're trying to load something. Don't really like that, so I like that about Kubota. I like the fact that it's got the roll-up door. Everybody knows the roll-up door. I still have glass in mine. I haven't put a forestry door in it yet. That may be coming, but I've heard some news about Kubota. I really can't share it yet, but it's coming. Mark my words. There may be some changes. I don't know. I can't say anything else. There may be some changes, so I'm not going to do anything to this machine until I see what's happening. That being said, I like the roll-up door. I like the cab, especially on the 65. The 65 had a different seat in it, but it was a lower sitting position, and it didn't have the toolbox. Take the toolbox away. We don't need the toolbox. Take the toolbox away. If you watch all my videos, you saw the fact that I sound deaden mine. It helped, but I still have to scream at the camera. Sorry, it's not hot. I'm sweating. It's pretty warm today, and I'm out here in the sun. Nice, awesome sky, but it's warm, and I'm fat, so that makes it even warmer for me. But this machine is so much louder than my 65. It's crazy. I wish they would take away the toolbox, put the hybrid drive in this with the longer tracks. I don't care if they leave the same frame machine. They could use the 65 frame and put the heavier boom on the 75 version and put the bigger motor in it and call it done. I'd be fine with that. Anyways, but I do like the cab room. Tons of room, tons of room. I can throw stuff on my floorboard, still have plenty of room. I wish I'd kind of have a cubby somewhere, you know, a plastic flip out cubby. But we don't. Maybe they'll add something in the future. I don't know. If you don't know, so the air conditioning in mine works really good. You don't run with the window open. You have to run with the window closed. If you're running with the window open, turn your AC off, because you're letting dust in and you're getting it on your accumulator, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, or you have to cut a hole in it to fix it. Now, if your AC is not kicking and you do have the door closed, you can open that vent in the back, and that recirculates the air in there, and it actually makes the AC blow a little hotter, or a little harder, and a little cooler. So there's a little vent over your right hand shoulder. Slide that open and run it like that, but you absolutely have to run with the front door closed if you're doing that. Okay, more likes. I like all the grease points. It's super easy to grease. You come over, bam, 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 bam. You come up here, bam, 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 and don't forget the special one down there for your quick attach, or your quick attach won't work. I do like the cylinder guards on the cylinders. Most machines have those if they have the cylinders up there. Deere doesn't, but I do like the cylinder guards. I like the tie downs. You know, I like the fact that the tie down's there and you can't really see it, but there's a pocket where this sits on the machine. There's a big piece of 1/2-inch flat bar on the other side, so if you're really wrenching down, which you don't need to, but if you're really wrenching down on that, it won't twist and pull your boom. And then it's got built-in stake pockets back here. Visibility, awesome. I love the visibility of the machine. For what we're paying for machines, the lights are okay. Let's just put factory LEDs on them, guys. Why not have just factory LEDs? You can't tell me this light costs that much less than an LED. They're making enough money on these machines now with the raised prices, especially. Just put LEDs on them, guys. Put LEDs on them. Anyways, let's go. Do I like anything else? I mean, specifically, the seat's okay. I mean, I like the high back seat over the 65. I don't know. Let's go to the dislikes. I've got some dislikes. One of the dislikes is the right-hand side banging and booming and crashing and all that stuff all the time. But we just found out that might be an idler. I might have a bad idler up here. Other dislikes. Let's go back here. There's a lot of dislikes back here. Or, well, it's all one big one, I guess. So, it's okay. You can get to the air filter. I literally just blew this out the other day, but I brush hog too, so. Anyways, you can get to the air filter. You can check your oil without doing anything. If you're a brush hogger like me that mows a lot and mulches and stuff like that, figure out a way to make this toolless. Don't make me have to pull my 3/4 inch socket out and pull these 3 bolts off and roll this stupid radiator back. And then to change my fuel filter, water separator, or oil filter, I've got to roll the radiator back. Make it to where it's toolless. What if I'm out there in the field and I've got to get that radiator back to do something? You know, I've got to take tools with me to pull the radiator back. And then every other day when I'm brush hogging, I blow the radiator out. Well, it's okay. You can blow it out that way some, but at some point in time, you're going to have to blow it this way. Well, when you blow it that way after you haven't for a couple days or a couple weeks, you'll be amazed how much dirt is still on the radiator. What if the battery dies? I mean, you can get to it ish. It'd be nice to have a little more room to roll that radiator back. Anyways, that's not a huge one, but I make it toolless. It wouldn't be that hard to make it toolless. Next one. This is my machine is just dirty. It's not faded, but clear coat your machines. Clear coat's not that expensive. Every other machine out there almost is clear coated. So if it sits outside, your machine doesn't turn pink. So clear coat the machines. Mine sits inside. It's not a big deal. These Mars will come off when I wash it. Not all the way, but they'll come off some. This sticker will live with the power washer hitting it. Every machine I have that Kubota's had, my 75 and this is 75, and my 65 blew that sticker off the first time I power washed it. If you need to know what material to use, let me know. My buddy at the wrap factory in Bonner Springs, we'll make you some wrap material that's laminated that you can hit with a power washer and a turbo nozzle all day long. It won't come off, because that's actually going to go on mine. As soon as I get a chance to go down there and talk to him, I'm going to have a Skidco sticker there that says SVL75-2 in it, but it'll have Skidco and all that stuff on it. I do like the serviceability, like cleaning tracks out, stuff like that, but we're on dislikes. All right, let's see what we don't like in the cab. We already talked about how noisy it is. All right, washer bottle. You see how mine doesn't have any washer fluid in it? Because if you're half full or more, you'll have it all over your cup holder, all over your right shoulder, all over the console back there, all over in your drink, everything. Make a screw lid. Just get a screw lid with a gasket to where it has to climb up through the threads and go past the gasket to get out on your drink. I don't mind it being in there. Put a different lid on it. The radio, it'd be nice if it was up here. The one thing I want is the bucket control. Put the bucket lock right here. So when you're operating with that handle like everybody does on every other machine, and you reach up as you're switching an attachment, you unlock it as you're coming up, and then you drop it, you grab the other one and you back up, and as you're driving along, you're locking the attachment. So put the attachment thing over here. That'd be a good spot for it, right on top of the console. Next thing, on the 75, we don't have the choice of making auto bucket leveling. So it's factory. It's part of the machine. Don't do that. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt because your brain doesn't work right, because you're actually trying to make the bucket do what you want as you're lifting up, and it's doing some, you know, it does something different when you're not thinking about, okay, you know, I got to remember this machine has auto levels, and when I pick it up, I'm gonna have to move the bucket again. So put an auto level switch in it, let somebody make the choice. The only other thing in there is the headlight switch. Put a little lidded light on it, or light up the switch or something, because if it's dark and you need your headlights, I don't remember which switch it is. So I have to turn my little light on up there if I remember I have one. There's a little light back there. I have to turn it on to see which one's my headlights so I can turn my headlights on. But anyways, there's the dislikes. Would I buy the machine again? That's a hard decision. I mean, this does mow better than the 65 did. But, well, and that brings us to another dislike. So I'll try to educate you, and I'm not fully educated on it, but I've ran a lot of machines and I mow a lot. So Kubota, I may be wrong on the numbers, so if I'm a little off, don't kill me, but I want to say it's like 3,180 PSI is what this machine runs. That's what they have the relief set in the machine. They want to keep it at 3,100 PSI, 3,180 PSI. Let's just call out Takeuchi. I think they're lower. They're like 3,040 PSI or something. Somebody's 3,300. Somebody's 3,300 PSI. And then that might be JCB. Maybe JCB Volvo machines are 3,300 PSI. Deere's are 3,400 PSI and some change. I mean, I'm not being exact. And I want to say Bobcat is a 3,500 pound or 3,500 PSI machine. So a Deere will brush hog better than this machine with a little bit lower flow. And I think it's because of the higher pressure that the machine runs. It takes less to get the Deere to hit the relief than it does a Kubota, because it runs a higher relief pressure, if that makes sense. Running the same attachments, like let's just call out my brush cat. Now I would hit the relief a little easier. Well, I don't know if actually I wouldn't hit the relief. It would hit the relief in my 65 sooner. That was lower flow, but it's because, you know, I was running a bigger mower on a smaller machine. It would relief. You can actually hear it in the machine. You'll hear kind of a, and a lot of times if I'm operating this and I'm kind of throwing dirt, you're kind of moving your bucket like that and you're moving, you can actually hear it and it'll hit the relief in the machine. Now, maybe this machine's not set right. I am going to take it in. I may have to take it in for the idler. And when I do, I'm going to have them check the pressure for the machine and make sure my relief, maybe I have a faulty relief and that's why I don't love the machine over my 65. We'll find out. But that's the thing with Kubota, is it's on the lower side of PSI than everybody else out there. I'm sure what they're doing is they're trying to protect the machine and make it last longer. I know a lot of guys with 3,000 and 5,000 hours on John Deere's, and they run 3,400 PSI. They push a little harder than these. They mow a little better than these. They just do everything a little better, it seems like, than the Kubotas. And I'm wondering if it's a PSI issue. If you'd run the PSI on these up to, let's just call it 3,400 PSI, would it make that big a difference? I don't know. That's something that Kubota really needs to look at, in my mind, to make it a little better machine. Anyways, well, that's a quick review of a Kubota SVL75. I do have 390-ish hours on it. I don't know, it's right around 390 hours on it. Haven't had a whole lot of problems. I had one bottom, the bogey wheel go bad, and they replaced it. And I haven't had anything else. 400 hours almost. And I haven't had any issues out of it. I haven't had a single issue, really. Just that bogey wheel, and that was really about it. I am going to have a video on, this is a high flow machine. because you have 2 sets of couplers, okay? And this is your K-string, that's your 10 pin or whichever pin, 14 pin, whatever it is. I am going to have a separate video of explaining this, so look out for that video if you want to see the entire high flow video. But let me just do a quick explanation, because it's something that I see all the time and I try to explain to guys, and a lot of times I think it might be a little easier if they see me point, you know, kind of point and click kind of thing. Okay, let's just explain it real quick. This is your male side, this is your female couplers. If you look in your manual, I have it bookmarked here. I will show you, because I actually didn't know this until I hooked a mulcher up one time. When you read this, in the high flow mode, operate the machine with the male port switch A. It's your right hand switch, okay? So when you're running high flow, this side of the manifold, I'm going to call it a manifold. This is your manifold. A lot of guys think that this is your high flow circuit, this is your low flow circuit or standard flow. Not the case. These are your large fittings, these are your small fittings. This is your male side, this is your female side. That's it. If you had 4 circuits, you would have 4 pipes. So when you hit high flow only works on this side of the manifold. It doesn't matter if you use this fitting or this fitting. This is a manifold inside. All this does is bring this fluid in and pushes it to both of these fittings. So either one of these fittings will work. Yes, I would use the bigger fittings for the high flow circuit, because you're pushing more flow through it, and it'd be better to have that larger fitting. It's not needed. It does actually depict that if you're using standard flow, and it doesn't really describe it very well. Actually, my standard flow, I run it with the, you know, my female coupler. I basically run my brush hog with this side circuit. So I'm pushing, you know, when I do my constant on, I push constant on there on the right side to run my brush cap. And then this is your proportional for your hydraulics. This is your left side constant on. So if you push this, you'll have flow here. If you push this, you will have flow there. To turn it off, you need to either hit your rocker or hit that button. So either button. So if you hit the constant on, hit it for constant, you know, you'll turn your constant on off if you hit the button. But you know, if you hit high flow, it's only going to come out of this side of the manifold. Okay, I actually found that out when I switched some fittings. I replaced a line, I switched some fittings out on a mulcher I had, and I didn't realize it, and I put it back together, plugged it in, and we took it out, and I'm like, man, why does this thing not have, it doesn't seem like it's got as much punch as it did. It's because I was running, you know, my end to the mulcher was running off this female side, and you don't have high flow. You only have high flow one direction. So look back here and look, you only have 2 pipes. If you had different circuits, it would be 4 pipes plus your K-string. This is your K-string. So anyways, I'm gonna have another video that shows you how to get it in the high flow and all that. So if you need that, look on my channel, look up how to use high flow in an SVL75. But I thought I might add that on this because a lot of guys don't realize that. I didn't realize that it only worked on the male side. But I literally just answer questions today in Facebook, and I don't know if they really understood them. You know, this is a manifold. It's not 4 different circuits. It's a manifold. This is one side. This is the other side. Anyways, hope it helps. Would I buy it again? Yes, I'd buy a 75 again. Would I buy it over the 65? Undecided. Depends on if I kept my brush cat or not. There are times that when I was running my brush cat on the 65, I have a 72-inch standard flow brush cat. It was a little much and really tall. You see some of the stuff I mow. Tall stuff, 8 foot tall, Johnson grass, really thick. I couldn't go as fast. I had to go pretty slow. And I would usually leave some stubble because it would slow the mower down. But that's a dual spindle mower. Single spindle 72-inch, depending on the mower. I don't think it'd have a problem. It ran a mulcher. It ran a SSQ 160, a 72-inch. it ran it just fine. So anyways, there's the review on the SVL75-2. Mine's a 2021. I believe. I know it's questionable, but I think it's a 2021. But hope it helps. 400 hours almost, and I really haven't had a lick of problem besides the idler. And then now we're gonna have to put I had a bogey will go bad. It started leaking, and then I need an idler because that idler's got some play in it. Actually, I had what did I have? This piece. I had to replace this piece, or they did. It broke, so it's because I washed it too much. I think it had some rust built up in it and all that. But anyways, hope it helps. You guys have a good one, and look out for the video on how to use high flow in a Kubota SVL if you need to see that. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.